Hello friends, welcome to Swash Gyan. So today's topic is basic of monitoring. This is the first video in the series of mega topic, event management and alert monitoring. We are going to cover 4 major topics here. Let's start. What is monitoring? I'll try to break down the topic in small pieces to make it simple with real-time examples, which will help us to relate with IT operations easily. Now, without wasting any more time, let's start our video. Alert monitoring is nothing new. We do it in our day-to-day life frequently, and it's very important for us to keep an eye on stats, which helps us to take precautionary measures and avoid accidents or sudden troubles with our system. So here we can see different people are monitoring different stuff for their different purposes. So guys, be it a supercritical situation or our day-to-day daily routine, there are several monitoring elements which is a necessity of us, and we use them consciously or subconsciously. Here we see a doctor performing an operation. It's very important to keep a check on all vital stats of the patient to ensure the patient is stable throughout the operation, so that an immediate action could be taken in advance if any of the stats are not according to the standard threshold, like heartbeat, oxygen level, blood pressure. So immediate action could be taken to improve stability. Now, likely we can relate it with while we drive. So almost all of us drive and enjoy driving. So when we start to drive, we subconsciously check a few alarms on the car to ensure we are not in trouble on middle of the way while we drive, like fuel indicators, temperature, engine check lights, door lights, hand brakes, seat belt alarms, and so on and so forth. There are many. So maybe we avoid lots of them, but few are always in our subconscious mind to have a check before we drive. So now we know what is monitoring in day-to-day life. Now let's try to relate it with our IT operations. Okay, while we're talking about monitoring, let's cover up first the hardware monitoring. So here in this picture, you can see a data center and a command center. So the data center is where we have lots of hardware components. So let's have a look at the data center. It's one of the best examples to see many hardwares in one place. In general, data centers have many servers stacked into a rack, organized within rack spaces, and physically connected to many other components like network switches, access points, NAS box for storage, and so on and so forth. We will talk more about data center in some other video. You'll get this topic covered in detail. Do let me know with your comments if topic related to data center will be exciting for you all. Alright, so server rooms are too cold to be there for humans to stay long, and the temperature could be between 5 to 25 degrees centigrade to keep the server heating in control. Now DC engineers, we see it in data center engineers, often visit server rooms as and when required for many physical activities or random checks. All the alarms related and linked to hardware stats are monitored from outside or remotely. So here we can see in interjection, this is a data center, and this is a command center or a monitoring center outside the data center where the data closets are. All the alarms related and linked to hardware stats are monitored from outside remotely. If any alarm needs some physical attention, the engineer or the engineers visit the refrigerator room and fixes the issue and exit once. Ensure things are under control. If the temperature is too high or too low, or humidity level is high, or maybe water leakage, or racks are vibrating and creating some noise due to some malfunction, sometimes a manual hard boot is required, or swapping of cables to a different network junction. So these are some common issues when a physical help is required, where an engineer can visit inside the data center, does and completes their activity, and resumes back to their seats. So let's have a look at a few components in data center. This is the network switch. Here is the NAS box. So now we see here the lady gets into the room, the data center room, to exchange the media tapes from the library, tape library. And she's happy doing it. All right. Hope till now we are all clear. Great. Let's move next. Now, before that, let me also try and explain a few more things. Here we see these hardware alarms are so important that these parameters are not monitored. If these parameters are not monitored efficiently, can cause some fatal malfunction and can further lead to an outage. It can seriously impact the business financially to both host and outsourcing company. So we'll try to introduce one more video later on to talk about different alarm thresholds with data center standard practices. Here we can see a few of them, which is very much critical alarms. Say for current meter, if the current supply is adequate, fire alarm, rack vibration, so if there is any shocks or any vibration, it throws an alarm. Temperature monitor to ensure the temperature is within the standards of between 5 to 25 degrees centigrade. UPS monitoring. So this is for a dual power supply. If one supply is off, we have to ensure that we are back up and running. Water leakages as well. So due to humidity, there could be some leakage and can cause hazard. Now, since we know about basic hardware monitoring, let's talk about end-to-end IT infrastructure and app monitoring with the help of this sample monitoring topology. So it's equally important to monitor software along with hardwares. There are several components which is needed to be monitored to ensure the entire environment is stable. In the first layer, we have physical servers. It can be Windows, Linux, mainframe, whatnot. Virtual servers, we also often call them VMs, and several cloud components, which all lies in the first layer of monitoring. Second layer of monitoring, we have network components, compute, memory, storage. Now, these all could be physical, these all could be cloud-based. So even in cloud-based, we have EC2 for AWS and VMs for Azure and so on and so forth. The third layer we have, and we can monitor user experiences, application health, database for job schedules, and so on. Please do let me know in comments if you'd like to learn in detail about these individual components. I will cover this topic sometime later if this excites you, depending on the number of comments. All right. So next layer is the business services, which is used by end user experiences. Now, the end user can be anyone, the consumer of the product or several other cross functions who needs to access the front end application or services. Final layer is the console view. The monitoring which helps us with different stats and data to interpret into meaningful summary. Now this view is going to help us with all the data ingested through all these different layers here. Many tools nowadays offer AI-driven logics which can help us to make monitoring easier and meaningful. Inbuilt correlation logics and data trends filtered with different churning points can help us find the absolute point of failure. This is how the monitoring console view looks like. It throws many alerts from several components based on threshold values, breaches, and polling interval logics. Also, the volume of alert depends on how many monitoring parameters are enabled, which suits best of the utility and how stringent is the acceptance criteria to ensure the stability of the components. So all these different components may have several different monitoring parameters, whether we want to use all of them or few of them depending upon our monitoring needs or the business monitoring needs. Let's have a view on how a monitoring console looks like. So here we can see the different CRs. The description says, some says up and down. In the space it says they are free with the space or they're used. Another view where it gives us the detail in terms of nodes. Alerts are segregated in three different color coding: red, amber, yellow. At times it goes to green, blue, and so on. So red means a critical alert, amber means priority to alert or a medium alert. Yellow means a normal alert which can be taken care of in some later time or doesn't has high criticality. Some alerts are also informative alerts where we don't need an action to be taken, but it's just an FYI alerts so that we know if they are related to some other malfunctions happening or may happen. Or sometimes even the nodes goes back up after down, the information alerts pops up to let us know that node is up. So the different console view which helps through a different ways of understanding how the alerts are popping up on the screen. Now the more advanced view is here. You can see this view gives us a cockpit view where it's talking about a lot of things, lots of information which could be interpreted to get into the root cause. So the heat map gives us some idea on which are the areas where this alert is impacting. Here we can see the count of problems, host. So probably one host has got one problem, and due to which maybe there are several apps which is getting impacted or likewise. Another kind of heat map which gives us visibility on which area the trouble is, so that we can focus upon those components and get this fixed. So this is again a topology based alerting. You can see here 2 services are down out of 58, and these 2 services, depending upon their criticality, could cause some issues with the user experience with the application. All right, so once we know about the monitoring aspect, let's also talk about monitoring tools. We have seen lots of fancy console right away, which gives us different ways of viewing alert or usability of the application to monitor in a better way. So here we can see there are hundreds of monitoring tools in the market available, right? And here is a list of a few brands which leaves the market: Zabbix, SolarWind, Ipswitch, Splunk, Nagios, Datadog, Dynatrace, Ops Manager. There are few to name right now. So the solution strategist or architect can choose the monitoring solution based on their requirements. Major factor to influence the decision of tool selection is based on budget. If it's a small setup or large setup, what cost can be spared for monitoring solution, and likewise. Other aspect is legacy tools compatibility for integration, like ITSM tools or MOM layer. So when this monitoring is set up, so the monitoring tool is compatible with different other tools which could be integrated all together. If the demand of solution is agent-based or agentless, depending upon what level of monitoring is required. If these aspects are not calibrated properly, this may end up in incorrect choice of tool, which can further result in inefficiency of monitoring solution. Now let me quote you this. Monitoring is the backbone of IT operations. Unfortunately, many organizations are yet not able to emphasize on improving efficiency and lands into instability in environment and screams to uncontrolled outages, which results in dissatisfaction for cross functions. Most of the budget is exhausted in build, transition, and other operation resourcing. Therefore, monitoring is implemented just for an eyewash in these companies to fulfill the formality norms. And actually, it's not very much useful and very much helpful. Now, the agent-based monitoring. Let's have a look here. Agent-based solution requires you to install code on the system being monitored in order to capture the desired information, while agentless solutions communicates directly with the APIs and provide rich information about the resources being monitored. So we'll see a quick look here. Here on the left hand side is the agent-based scheme, where we have the orchestrator. Now this orchestrator is communicating with several other different components based on the agents being installed on these components. So this agent talks to this orchestrator and all the logics are translated between them and throws the layers accordingly. Where agentless monitoring is completely connected with the APIs, and through this interface it captures all the information. You don't have to install the same agent into different applications, tools. It picks up the informations through different nodes. All right. Now let's have a quick look on the HLD for agent-based monitoring in a better view through a simple set of high-level design of agent-based monitoring. These are different components which are getting monitored. Could be some servers. Here is the probe server, now which means the agents are relaying here and all the probes are encrypted here. This probe server communicates to Ops Manager's central server. So this works as an orchestrator. This is the central server. So all these relays here, and it correlates all the alerts coming from different directions. So even there is a different separate setup, maybe the similar components. So all the alerts coming from here via the internet to the environment firewall or the core firewall, and then it pushes the information here. If this server is down, it will communicate from here to here, and at the given time we don't get a ping response, it will tell that we are not able to ping the server, and here it will record this information. Now the console will be able to see some description against that probe, that the server is down or not able to ping the server, IP address ABC, and then we'll get to know that there is some trouble in this particular server and we have to do something about it. So probably we'll try to log into the server or RDP the server, ping the server to see manually if the alert was valid or not valid, or it's a false positive alarm, likewise. Okay, so we'll talk about these designs in detail in further videos. So considering the video size, I'm ending up this video with a promise that I will come back with the related topic soon. Thanks for watching the video. Please comment for feedback and suggestions. Soon I will keep sharing my knowledge and information with you related to the topic. All the best for future operation managers. Please subscribe my channel if you like the video. See you in the next video. Keep your environment clean, spread smile, and develop your persona in such a way that women feel safe with you. Thanks for watching. Take care.